Our next story takes us. Take a look at some reporting from Fox. Today, Luigi Mangione's lawyers have asked a New York federal judge to dismiss some of the criminal charges brought against Mangione, including the charge that could carry the death penalty. Mangione is accused of shooting and killing United Healthcare's CEO Brian Thompson outside a Manhattan hotel last December. It prompted a multi-day manhunt for the suspected shooter, which ultimately led to law enforcement taking Mangione into custody after receiving a tip from a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Now, Mangione has since pled not guilty to the charges brought against him. We want to discuss more with Richard Schoenstein. He's an attorney and legal analyst. He joins us. Firstly, based on what his lawyers are arguing, how likely would it be for these charges to actually be dropped? Are these accusations, not being read, your Miranda rights and searching belongings without a warrant, are they valid, or are they enough to drop charges?
Well, I don't know if they're likely to win, but I do think this is a live motion, meaning these present legal issues that are going to be considered by the court. There are sort of two aspects to this motion. One is that some of the charges shouldn't stand against Mangione the way they're pled. And the other part of the motion is that there was an illegal search of his backpack at the time he was apprehended, and he was illegally asked questions before being Mirandized. And if the court found that to be a violation of his constitutional rights, it could mean that some of the evidence they found, including even the gun, can't be used at trial.
So, is there any precedence, particularly in high-profile cases like this one, for charges to be completely dropped because of how the investigation was handled?
Sure. I mean, I think it happens. I don't think off the top of my head I can tell you, but this is the federal case against Luigi Mangione. And if you think about it, in the state prosecution, his defense lawyers were just successful in getting the highest charges dropped because the state prosecutors had argued that this was an act of terrorism, which under New York state law would have subjected him potentially to life in prison without the chance of parole. His lawyers challenged that. One, that count has been dismissed. So in state court, the highest possible penalty he can get is life in prison, but with the opportunity of parole. This motion is in federal court, where he's charged with murder and he's charged with stalking and he's charged with murder with a firearm. And in federal court, the charges carry the possibility of the death penalty. So what his lawyers really are trying to do fundamentally is take the death penalty off the table, just like they took life imprisonment without the chance of parole off the table in the state case.
Even if the charges are not dropped, will what his lawyers are saying, no Miranda rights read, no warrant for the backpack, Bondi's comments, will they have an impact on how the trial plays out?
Yeah, they'll have an impact because if any of that is upheld by the judge, like let's say the judge says he didn't have his Miranda rights, so you can't use any of the statements he made to law enforcement at the time of his apprehension and arrest because he wasn't properly advised of his rights. That could change the trial because there are certain things he said that couldn't be used. If they find that the jury pool is improperly tainted because of comments that are made or because of things like the perp walk that you're showing right now in the video, and arguably that has put the public, the potential jury pool, thinking he's guilty before they even get there, that in theory could change the trial, although I don't expect the judge to buy into that part.
The court has until October 31st to respond. Can we expect the prosecution to respond to this filing before the New York federal judge makes a decision?
Oh, absolutely. You'll get a vigorous opposition to the motion from the prosecution. They'll brief why they think that the arrest and the search and the questioning was proper. They'll brief why they think their charges are proper. And they'll brief why they think that possibility of the death penalty should remain in play in this trial. That right now, to me, is the big focal point. Will this charge in federal court carry with it the possibility of the death penalty? That is the thing fundamentally that's going to alter this case.
Is this in any way, could you characterize this as a tactic to delay a trial?
You could criticize it in that way, but no, these are good faith motions made by a defense team. I mean, remember, Mangione has a very good defense team, very capable New York lawyer, his lead lawyer in particular. They've done a good job protecting his rights. As I said, they got rid of the state case. They're making legitimate arguments in the federal court. And I don't see his strategy as being delay just for the sake of delay. Although, if you're facing the death penalty, I guess to some extent, maybe you want delay. But I think they're making good faith arguments in an attempt to prevail on them.
This case obviously was a major news headline. It really prompted some controversy among the American public. It fueled an already heated conversation about the healthcare system in the United States. Mangione has, by the way, continued to receive quite a bit of public support for his cause, if you'll call it that. Will it be hard to form a jury that can be impartial? Is that a concern for the prosecution?
It's definitely a concern. There's a lot of support. Listen, there's a lot of anger at the insurance industry. I'm mad at an insurance company right now. I know a lot of people are mad at the insurance company, and because of that, some folks thought that this was justified or even characterized him as a hero. I don't frankly think there's anything heroic about shooting a guy in the back at 5 o'clock in the morning. That is not heroic in my book. But if you're prosecuting the case, you have to worry because you need all 12 jurors. You need a unanimous decision on guilt. And if you're going after the death penalty, you're going to need a unanimous decision on that. So if you get even one person in the jury who, for some reason, perceives him as having acted heroically or doesn't think he should be convicted based on the totality of the circumstances, that's a problem. Picking a jury is going to be a big deal in this case.
Thanks, Richard.
My pleasure.
All right, the time of the nation's capital, about